Hello, in this lesson we will be discussing more about threads and going into a little more depth. So, multiple threads share the same memory space so that they can communicate more easily and share their data within that process. For example, let's say you want to make a game in which a dog can chase the cat while the cat can chase a mouse. In order to make that happen simultaneously, we can make multiple threads for this process, such that in one thread the cat chases the mouse and in the other the dog chases the cat. So let's see an example. We can import time and we can print the current time is, and then time.cTime, and this just displays the time and date of our computer. Okay, so now let's do another print statement. Cat is chasing ... and then time.sleep for 3 seconds. So wait for 3 seconds and then print mouse is caught. Okay, so if we run this, you can see the current time is this. The cat is chasing and mouse caught after 3 seconds of the program running. Okay, so now let's import threading and define thread 1 with the parameter I, and we can say time.sleep 15 seconds, and then we can print number of seconds cat chased, and then we can just print our variable here, which will be an integer. Okay, now let's just define the thread 2 with the I argument. So time.sleep 11 seconds. Now we can print, we can actually copy this, and we can say number of seconds dog chased. Now let's start these threads. So if name is equal to main, let's create our new threads. T1 will be equal to threading dot thread, and our target will be equal to thread 1, and let's specify the argument, which will be 15. Okay, so now let's also do this for the thread 2. So T2 is equal to the thread 2 for 11. Okay, and now let's just start the threads just like we've done before. T1.start and T2.start. Okay, so now let's run this, and as you can see, we wait for 15 and 11 seconds. So 11 seconds have passed and 15 seconds have passed because those started at the same time, and there was just a 4-second delay between the two of them. Okay, now let's see what happens if we after T1.start we do T1.join. So let's wait and see what happens. Okay, after 15 seconds you can see this message appears. So this is because of our first method, and after 11 more seconds this appears. So instead of these running simultaneously, we wait for the first thread to finish. That's what t1.join does, and then we start the second thread. This is why there is this much time delay. Okay, so now let's see how we can print how many threads are currently running. So we can actually just delete t1.join for now. So we start the first thread and the second thread, and now we can just print the number of active threads, which will be threading dot active count. This will print the amount of the threads that are currently active, and let's also print the current thread. Current thread is, and str threading dot current thread. Okay, and then just do t1.join and t2.join. Okay, let's run this. Okay, so our current active threads are 3. So we have the main thread, and we have t1 and t2. That's 3 threads in total. And you can see that the current thread is the main thread here, and then these run here as well. And we can actually also list our current threads. So we can do another print statement, list of threads, threading dot enumerate. And what this does is it gives us a list of all the active threads and their information, not just that they are 3. We can see that we have the main thread, we can see that we have thread 1 and also thread 2. So if you had a more complex application, you would probably want to keep track of all of the threads to make sure that you don't have any threads that are running that are supposed to be stopped. Okay, so let's see the solution to the exercise you had to do for the previous lesson. If you still haven't done this, you still have time to go back and do it. If you want to see the solution, this is it. So for the first task, you had to make this run regularly, so just by calling the function's name. So if name equals to main, then you can just give this redefine this array of numbers, so 2, 3 and 8, and then you can just calculate the square of the array and calculate the cube of the array. So let's run this. So you can see that the square of 2 is 4, the square of 3 is 9, and the square of 8 is 64, and also the cube of 2 is 8, the cube of 3 is 27, and the cube of 8 is 512. So then you had to do the exact same thing, but with 2 separate threads. So instead of calling the functions by their names, you could just do t equals time dot time to keep track of the time you want to run this, and you can say t1 equals threading dot thread, and our target will be, oh, actually we need to also import threading here. Okay, so target equals our calc cube, actually first calc square, and let's also define our arguments, which will be the r here. Okay, and let's repeat this for our second thread. So t2, and the target will be calculate cube, with the same arguments. So now let's start the threads. t1.start and t2.start, and then just join to the main thread. t1.join and t2.join, and then just print the execution time, which should be done in time.time minus our initial time here. So let's go ahead and run this. Oh, actually, I misplaced the parentheses here. You don't need this. Oh, and here you need to typecast this into a string. Okay, so you can see the output is the exact same. You can see these two are printed simultaneously because of the two threads running in parallel, and you also have the time done in 0.6 seconds. If I rerun this, okay, now the output looks better, and you can see you can run this in 0.6 seconds. And also let's see what would happen if we would just call them. So calc square with the r and calc cube r. Okay, let's also add time, and now you can see this took 1.2 seconds, so about double the amount as if you were to run this like this. So by using two threads in this program, you can cut the time you spend in half. So you can see how this will be useful in even more complicated programs. Okay, thanks a lot. You don't have any more exercises for this lesson. Just revise on the general concept of threading, and that's it for today.